We're here with artist Aidan Krell to talk a little bit about his show that's on exhibit here in our main gallery at the Art Center of Burlington through August 27th. We finished installing and now we get to sit and talk about it, and I get to ask Aidan a bunch of burning questions about this truly exceptional show. So, hi.
Hi.
All right, so first I just need to lay out the obvious here. There are so many mediums in this show, so many uses of those mediums. We've got tons of different methods in acrylic. We've got pen and watercolor works on paper. We've got plein air work. We've got everything. We've got, even the backs of your work have extension cords and charging cables as hanging mechanisms. I mean, I could go on and on with how much is going on in this show. But with that, there is this through line, there's this continuity within it all. I think even if someone walked in here and they didn't see your name or they weren't aware that it was the same artist, they would assume that it was. I'm really impressed with how you've managed to show us just the breadth of what you can do in so many different mediums and so many different uses of that, but there is still this consistency that I'm really impressed with. So my question is that intentional? Is that a happy accident? How much intentionality do you put into that? You clearly have a point of view that can travel within all these different mediums. How do you do that?
Being an outside observer, I think you can see this a lot better than I can for a lot of it. But I think I have, when it comes to, what would you say, kind of like my political perspective on things, I could see that what you're saying there. But when it comes to other stuff, maybe with texture, it's kind of all over the place to me. I don't really see that a lot of it looks the same in a lot of ways. I don't know.
I think part of it comes out for me in your use of color. Like, I'm looking at a painting over there that there's really this restraint that you've practiced. It's pretty minimal. Your use of line, it's pretty subdued. And then I look over here and I see scratches and mark making and color and texture, but there's something connecting those two at the same time for me, and maybe it's more of an abstract thought, but I won't be surprised if other people that walk in here can see these points of connection, and which I find and appreciate a lot in this show.
Yeah, a lot of these are different feelings, like coming from the same person, of course. Like with these ones, I just wanted to have fun, pretty much a lot more in that spectrum of things, and also seeing how much I can push color without making it too abstract where you couldn't see what it is, kind of idea, you know?
Are you drawn, it seems like you might be drawn to a similar color palette at least. Is there like a baseline that you work with whether it's plein air work, whether it's acrylic, whether it's mixed media? Is there some sort of baseline where you start that's similar from each time, and then it explodes into something different? Or maybe that's what I'm picking up here.
It really depends.
Yeah.
But with the ones I started out with, I've noticed that I always started out with different main colors with green, red, and yellow.
Yeah.
For some reason. And then I would kind of just go on from there.
Is there a base point that you start with? Do you kind of look at different colors and then it explodes into, I'm going to use it this way and I'm going to use it completely different over here? Is there some sort of base that, and maybe you're not conscientiously thinking of that, but it definitely comes through in an effective, great way?
I think I have a better answer. I have like a lot of different paints, mainly old stuff that I collected from a lot of people that just like, it would be random, like someone had a sister that was into painting in middle school and now they just have a box full of really cheap paints with no good pigment or anything, and I just collect stuff like that. And then I also have some stuff I get at Dick Blick's, but it's all in the same room, and I kind of been just using the same stuff for the last 2 to 3 years. And then I would look at things as like, I like that color, and then I'll just go on from there. Like if there's a really really crazy red that just like pops out to me in the corner of the room for some reason. I'm like, I'm gonna use this, and then what goes on from there. And then like with other paintings, I usually pick out colors that like I haven't even touched because I don't ever use them. So I was like, let's see what I can do with this. And you just keep layering it until you like what you see, and you stop, and then you do something else with it, whatever that could be. It's all an exercise of some sort, right? Yeah.
All right, so I want to start with this feature wall. It's the main wall in our gallery that we're sitting in front of. This work, this collection, this grouping of work is very Aidan Krell, if you're familiar with Aidan's work. But what's I love about it is it kind of weaves in and out of figurative and very literal to abstraction. It weaves in and out. You look at something and then it kind of, your eye kind of moves and you're looking at something more abstract and a little blurry and hard to pin down. I find that very interesting when I'm looking at it. But also when you're looking further away from it, it definitely has this very textural, scratchy feel. But then when you step into it, you really pick up on just how complex it is. There's all these protrusions coming out. There's mark making with pen and markers. There's bits of hot glue, just kind of like it's almost like you just threw it on there. And it's so tactile, you just want to touch it. Maybe I have a couple times. But what is your process to getting this surface so complex? Because it's really interesting when you're looking a couple feet away and then you just step into it slightly more and it takes on this entirely new effect. And so yeah, tell me a little bit about your process with creating these surfaces.
They're all over the place. Like, in the beginning it was more about not any kind of figure, but it was like, for example, I put splat some red and then green on it. So then I put the red in the middle because, red is what you look at compared to the other colors. It's where your eye goes to. And then pretty much after that, it was just like, let's see how many colors I can get on this thing while you can still see all the colors. And then a lot of times I would have these huge knives I find in my barn. And then I'll just like scrape away color and then add more. And then eventually you'll just have a monstrosity that you can just scrape away color and then a rainbow comes through. So then you can just keep adding more and scraping it away. And then eventually you just have all these little tiny pigments of color in just one little area. And it used to be that I wanted to do that in like little sections at a time out of the painting. And then we'll see what comes out of it, if it's a figure or not. But then it kind of started to something else when I was like, oh, let's see what happens if I use a reference, kind of like this one here. And it got a lot easier, but because before it was just a big creative mind game. And then with this, it was more like, okay, this is more fun. I can follow something here.
I appreciate how liberal you are with the paint. I mean, on some of these, there's like this just like concentration of globby paint, which I think is really effective and gives it a fun effect. But can you explain, I guess, like how I was saying, sometimes it blurs in between really literal and crisp and then into abstraction. Is that intentional? I mean, that's clearly a style that you carry through a lot of your work. Where did that come from? Is that inspired by artists that you look up to, or is that just your own personal experimentation?
If you want to talk about the theme like you were talking about before, there's this thing that I want to do is I want to try to capture motion, but you can't capture motion without being abstract. So then you're going back and forth, and if you go too abstract, then you don't know what it is at some point, right? If you, like, for instance, if you're taking photography of like a moving car and it's just a car, you don't know it's moving.
Right.
And then you see all the smudges. If you do that like editing, I don't know the photography terms, but when you see that, then you're like, oh, this thing's moving, right? Mm-hmm. Because like it's a little abstract, it's a little warped, something like that. So that like there's a little bit of that going on, like movement in that area. I'm just trying to find the middle, I guess, and where I want to go with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like that a lot about these. All right, so I really want to talk to you about your watercolor and ink on paper work, because this is a side of you I've never seen. This is work of yours that I assume is new. I've never seen it before. So these, I think your drawing skill really shines with these. I'm not as familiar with your drawing. It's much. You really pick up on it here. These are so literal, they're so story driven. There's a clear narrative and there's layers of meaning within some of these. Some of them are really light and poignant, some of them are comedic, some of them you're definitely sharing a really clear point of view, some of them are political. And you're really asking the viewer to engage and really asking them to confront what they think. Maybe you're going to stir up some strong emotions one way or the other with these. What I love about these, and what I love, I think, just on a broader level, is art like this really asks the viewer to engage with what they might think. You're asking us to think. And that's what I think is so powerful about these, and I can tell that you put a lot of thought in them. So I guess, can you elaborate a little bit on what you were trying to do with these? And is this a new style that we'll see more of? Is this something that we can expect to see more of? They're so illustrative, which I love. I think you need to illustrate a book with these. Some of them are very cartoon-like. They're really exciting.
So basically, my mom gave me a photo book of Ralph Steadman's work, and I pretty much loved it. Like, just the pure mix between trying to show a subject of what you want to show or a message, but still trying to keep it as have it as much action as possible inside the painting. I feel like Ralph did that with all of his water work, and he didn't know what was going to happen. Usually when to keep the action of his work, what he would do was he would just put out a splatter of water or paint of whatever color he wanted to, and then he would go on from there, and I thought that was pretty cool. Mine's not as easygoing yet. It's like you said, it's a lot more illustrative. I hope to get there sometime.
No, I'm blown away by them. I think that the facial features are so exaggerated. They're almost more like caricatures of something. And there is a lot of movement, and everything is just over the top and exaggerated, but also using really simple lines. There is a little bit of abstraction within them, and I think that that's really cool. But you definitely are hitting on some hot topics. And that, I think, is such an interesting conversation, because I think an artist, you're definitely getting their firm point of view sometimes through these, and what you're really doing is asking the viewer to ask what they think about something. It may be uncomfortable, it may be controversial,
I hope so.
It may reinforce what they already think or disagree with. They may dig their heels even firmer into what they think, but at the very least, you're asking us to think about something, and maybe change our mind about something, ponder something a little bit more thoughtfully. And I think when you're looking at it through artwork rather than even a Facebook commentary or something like that, when you're looking at it through art, I think we're asked to be a little bit quieter and more thoughtful in how we're engaging with it. And I think that you definitely are asking us to do that, and I think that that's important, especially in a gallery space when we're looking at another human's piece of artwork. We may still walk away from it and disagree with it or be upset with it, but it's asking us to wrestle with something. And you're definitely touching on some relevant topics. And yes, but I think you're doing it very powerfully through that particular medium. So
a part of that style is also just it's kind of like what comedians do, is they just exaggerate it so much, or it's like a way of showing how they look, because a lot of these guys don't look themselves in the mirror of what they're doing, if it's like a day-to-day job or a politician, and they just want to do what they want to do. So then I guess I was like, okay, I can show you what you look like, that's what I like to do with that style, basically.
So how do you as an artist see your art form or art in general being a communicator for deeper thought? How do you use art or see yourself as a facilitator of conversation?
Yeah, anything more specific?
I mean, it's kind of what I just asked you. I guess it's just in a different way.
Because like,
I mean, you're encouraging deeper conversation about something is what you're doing.
yeah, like different painting is a different message for me. Like it's a different. How do you say? Like what did you just say? The like how I think what people should interact with art, right?
Yeah, well, I'm saying, so my question is, so from your perspective as an artist, how do you see art functioning as a communicator? Not just of your own views, but as a tool for encouraging deeper conversations, even around things the viewer might not agree with.
All right, you could go all over the spectrum with this. Like, for instance, I've just had a conversation with my mom saying she can't see things in her mind, and I see things in my mind all the time. Like, my dad sees things in his mind, like it's a little psychological difference. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, so you actually have to see things in front of you to understand them, right? But then there's also how you communicate. So, like, I did the same Ralph Steadman style with say like an ice agent getting mulched, right? And that's obviously a lot more violent and a lot more dark and funnier to some people than my grandma running over a bunch of bunnies, which is also just fucking hilarious to me. I can't get around that one.
Right.
Like, and then she thinks it's funny too. She just she keeps giving me more things that I should do with that whole idea. And it's like, it depends, right?
So as an artist, and this is a curious question because I'm not an artist, but I look at a lot of art. So is your intention behind it for your own kicks to reinforce what you think, or to tell the world what you think, or are you trying to ask the viewer to think about what they might think about it and ask those pressing questions and maybe make the viewer uncomfortable for a second to elicit them to think about those things? Are you doing both? Like, what is your main goal? Is it more personal, or is it kind of this service to the viewer to ask them to deeply ponder something?
Well, I mean, I feel like more of these are more personal. But with the illustrations, I guess it would be more of a service. Only because, like, it's kind of what the show is named. Do you understand, or are you curious? So,
right.
Like, that whole idea is like when you always have these people angry around certain subject politically, well then, like, you can go back to the basics, which is that. So you don't understand, obviously. So it's like you have to go do some research. You got to talk to some people. Oh, you understand? That's great. Let's collaborate. Let's figure out how to get there. Oh, you still don't understand. Back to square one. You just keep
or are
doing
you
that.
just, do we allow ourselves to be curious and maybe think of different angles and different things that maybe we didn't think of before?
Well, like, how do we expect to go forward if we're not doing one of the two? Like, are we just here to like sit on our armchair and just like be mad at the TV the entire time? Is that our lives? Or are we trying to like build something? And like, if you want to do that, that's fine. Go be a nihilist. Go do that over there. That's all right.
Which is why, like, if you think back in history, it's always been the artists that have really not been afraid to get us to have these conversations and have uncomfortable conversations or debate and things like that. It's, it seems like artists have always been the ones that provide the platform for us to engage like that in really effective, powerful ways.
Yeah,
sure.
Like when you break down that whole ideas that they have about the world, it's a really cool thing. Is like they can either really get defensive about it, and then eventually it gets broken down. Then everyone's like, well, then what do you think we should do? Oh, wait, we're here now, right? So then once we're here, then we're both broken down. We're able to understand each other. Mm-hmm. So like it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. We all know it's pretty fucked.
I think sometimes it can actually release some of that tension.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
It's like we're all. It's like the what do you call it? It's like ego death. You know what I mean? We're all so like scared right now that all we can do right now is just work together to see what we can do afterward. That's the point of it, right?
Yep. So one of my favorite things about exhibition and the gallery experience is when an artist is really asking the viewer to do a little bit of work and you're really curating how we experience and how we walk through the space. So there is a section in the back of our gallery where Aidan has quite a bit of artwork of yours where there's no pricing on it. There's a title, there's a medium, but there's no pricing.
About 40 pieces.
It's about, I mean, it's a huge chunk of the show. And it's in our back corner, and you have instructions, and you introduce this idea of community art pricing, where it's like a not just what you want to pay model, but kind of asking us to think about how we're emotionally attached to it and how that translates into monetary value of artwork. And it's a really interesting thing. The pricing of artwork is a conversation I have with artists all the time. It's tricky. How do we place a monetary value on something that carries a lot of meaning, and that doesn't even get into how much the artists put into it and their skill and their time and their the supplies that it required to make it, all of that. So you ask people if this is a piece of artwork that you're moved by or you want to purchase, you ask us to really think about, okay, how do I attach monetary value to that? And you allow us to dictate what we pay for it.
Yeah,
so
democracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what was your idea behind that? I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I am too, honestly. I feel like one of the ideas was basically to encourage discipline, to figure out what you need based off instead of what you want. And I mean, I'm a firm believer today that like a lot of this money we pay taxes for in general just aren't coming back to the communities. Or all this work we put in our communities in general, they all get filtered out either through corporations or wherever the fuck knows out there, and they don't come back here. And it's hurting us. This is like, I've heard the term late stage capitalism, and I encourage people basically to pay what it means to them. And now this is basically like, I'm not like an economist, like by all means, but I know like I've done this kind of stuff before where it's like, okay, so I have this, you have this, we can either make a trade, or you know somebody else that has this other thing that I need, we can make a three-way trade. Like we have these resources and we can just build off of each other. This is the way we can get out of this cycle for me. I've seen this work in play before, and I figured, like, I mean, like in general, people, what do you say, we out in stores, I think I see things for sale all the time that are, in my opinion, way more than they should be, whether it's food, food, water, anything like that. And I was like, well, I made all this art, and I could easily make it $200, $100 each, or I could teach a lesson, or I could say, okay, so let's practice this real quick, and now you do it to each other. I'm doing this with art, like this is.
It's a fun exercise, and it's something interesting to think about, and I think it makes us think deeper about how we attach monetary value to something that. How do you really place value on something that holds a lot of meaning, or that you're really drawn to, or that the artist was really drawn to? It's, I think it'll be an interesting exercise.
Yeah, like if we do this just right, then we can keep it going. And then we can keep it going in our community. That means we don't have to rely on outside resources. Don't get me wrong, I know economics enough that outside resources is great to keep the people thriving and stuff like that, but we need to be more sustainable here with the nature or with our materials in general, and then figure it out from there. But right now, that's not happening. I mean, we can both. I think we can both agree, just a little bit.
So obviously this was a very fun conversation, as I knew it would be. It's always fun to talk to Aidan and pick your brain a little bit. Obviously this is a show that sparks lots of conversations. It asks us to really think about things that maybe we already think a lot about and see it from different perspectives, or maybe it tugs at us to think and research, or just come look at beautiful art, whatever it is. This is a can't miss show. Aidan is no stranger to the Art Center, and it's really exciting. This is your first main gallery solo show. Mm-hmm. What an honor to have your work. So make sure to come view this show. It's on exhibit through August 27th. Get down here and see it.